Hello, my loves. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Dustina. This is Spiritual Boujee Astrology, and we're going to take a look at the astrological transits of November 11th to November 17th. Now, before we do any type of recap, I want to remind everybody that all the way until the end of the year, everybody that books a session with me is getting new client pricing, and there's no cap on how many sessions you wish to book. Now, what does that mean? You're coming to me for the very first time and you are wanting to get an idea of what's going on in your life. We look at the astrology and how it's comparing to your chart. If you're dealing with something in your health, if we're dealing with something in business, if we're dealing with something with a relationship, family, whatever is necessary, we look at the things and how they're impacting you. We can look at the other people's charts against your chart as best as possible. And the whole idea is understanding how to live in alignment with the energy rather than fighting against the energy. Some of us get tired of hitting our head again against a brick wall. But if you understand the astrology and you understand how that energy is impacting you on an individual level, then you have the ability to work with it more cohesively and try to find a better way to not have so much negative impact into your life. Now, an hour-long session with me is $35. A 90-minute session with me is $50. Everybody is getting new client pricing, and there is no cap to how many of those sessions that you can book at that pricing. Again, everybody's getting it until the end of the year. Now, with that being said, let's talk about the week. Let's talk about how some of those energies are impacting people. Now, one of the things I said about the last 2 weeks is we've got new things coming through, new ideas, new ventures, new connections, new things, new people, new stuff. And some of y'all struggle with recognizing the new. To be like, I didn't meet anybody new. Oh, I'm not doing anything new. Nothing new happened. Great. Okay, so tell me about your day. Okay, so we had this really great meeting at work, and it looks like we're taking on this new client and taking on this new business, and I'm going to be in charge of it. But you didn't have anything new. You look for something that's like a big billboard saying, Hi, I'm the new thing in the transit, because you're so close to what you're doing that you don't recognize, like, that's the new. Oh, that's the new? Wow. Okay. But you said some things are going to stick and some things are going to not. How do I know what's going to stick? Well, that's where some of the transits are going to come through. That's where the individual readings are helpful. But there's a lot of things that are coming through that are new, especially over the last 2 weeks. New that are coming through that has layers and levels. So let's talk about that some more. Just a little quick little recap. Mars and Pluto had their opposition in the last week and a half. And I'm rounding that energy out because the human effect is not everybody had it play out on the exactness of that date. The human effect is it happened 1 or 2 days before. So it happened like last weekend. For a lot more people, though, it had to do with this last week that we were just in. And it came through like the Monday to the Tuesday, the Wednesday, like I said in last week's episode. So we had the new come through, the awareness of the new, decisions of new. But if they had to do with Mars and Pluto, for a lot of people, that new had a finality type energy to it. Decisions got made. Something came to a close. You don't work here no more. We ain't doing this no more. I don't want you living here no more. Goodbye. And the decision in that factor is meant to stick. But those decisions will have layers and rounds and tests. Now, the reason I'm saying that that decision was meant to stick is because that was the first opposition of three, but it was happening at the 29-degree mark of Capricorn and Cancer. The other transits that will happen in other signs. They're going to happen in Aquarius and Leo. So in a lot of ways, we made a finality in the decision, but there will be layers and rounds and levels to what happens next. And they are not going to happen all very, very quickly. For some of you, you had one phone call, one decision, one letter, one something that has just arrived, a meeting that led to a decision that has just been made that has a long-term impact. And it is going to spoil some plans. But there's duplicity in the air. And we didn't just have the energy of Mars and Pluto, but we also had the arrival of Mercury going into Sagittarius. And the things that we are working on this week for a lot more people will be mercurial. And they will be the new things that we are trying to do, the test run energy of things that are going to have levels and layers and tests that will have adjustments to them, but they are more likely to stick. And Mercury has a big hand in what we're going to be doing this week. But he's not the only one. So we'll come back to Mercury, put a pin in Mercury. Let's talk about Venus and everything that she'll be doing. At the start of the week, Venus is going to go into Capricorn. Venus is going to go into Saturn's sign. At the end of the week, Friday, we will have two things happen simultaneously. Saturn will turn direct on Friday morning. By Friday afternoon, we will have a full moon in Taurus in Venus's sign as Saturn, newly direct, is hosting Venus. There is a shift in roles. There's a shift in responsibility. There's a shift in awareness whenever it comes to our elders. There is something coming from an authority figure that is putting a major impact in what we're doing next, shifting our focus, shifting our plan. And this week has a shift to it based off of those three by themselves. Now let's go back to Mercury. And let's talk about the other thing that's happening at the beginning of the week. Mercury will have his first of three, 1, 2, 3, squares to Saturn this week, and each one will be different. This first one, Mercury is direct and Saturn will be retrograde, but Saturn is stationing. Saturn is changing something. Communication that shifts something in responsibility. Decisions are being made, announcements are being made, some kind of news, some kind of letter, some type of conference, some type of purchase getting decided on, letting us know that this energy here we have been feeling stuck and stagnant in is turning around, and Venus's arrival into Capricorn emphasizes even more that this is turning around, that this is changing, that we are moving into something different. Now, for a lot of people, this is not all brand new. And whenever it comes to Saturn, this is a retrograde Saturn that is stationing. He was here in that area of Pisces, this 12-degree area of Pisces, earlier this year. He's been here before. So what we're doing is we're looking at taking on something new that has rounds and levels and tests to it, but we're leveling it up. We're gaining more recognition. We're gaining more responsibility. We're getting more turnaround in the vibration. We're folding in the old into the new. We're folding something in. And that is a big part of this week and what we're doing next and where we're going next. And for a lot of people, this week is going to have excitement to it because we're doing exactly that. We're taking the business that we started working on this year. We're taking it to the next level. We're bringing it to more people. We're wanting to get all of this attention. Look at my business. Look at what I'm doing. Look at how I've been working on something. And I want this to do well. Let's do great. Let's try something different. Yes. Now, some of us, the things that we do commit to, the people that are committing to us right at the beginning of this energy, some of that's not going to stick. And that's going to be because Mercury will go retrograde. Mercury is in shadow. Mercury hitting that square to Saturn while Saturn is still retrograde has a stagnant energy that is being overcome. However, the next square that'll happen at the beginning of December will be Mercury retrograde squaring that Saturn. And it'll be like, oh, yeah, I can't do that. I can't commit. I got too much going on. I can't handle that responsibility right now. I need extra time. I need extra space. I need you to be patient with me. Hopefully. But then by the end of the year, something will turn around and Mercury will be direct. Now, the reason I'm putting so much emphasis this week on the Mercury side of things is knowing that he is in that first square. But after the first square is complete, all of the rest of the week, Mercury is building to his first opposition to Jupiter. And when it comes to the end energy of Mercury, that post shadow energy at the end of the year, there will be a T square that happens between Jupiter, Saturn, and Mercury. They're going to be doing some stuff together. So we are at the beginning of something. We're at the start of an obstacle course. But in some ways, this obstacle course is like a relay race. We're going to have to pass the baton every once in a while. But we are up for a challenge. Many of us were excited and we're up for the challenge. However, Saturn is rules. Saturn is karma. Saturn is our elders, responsibilities, authorities. And the energy around Saturn turning direct this week means that some people are going to see something happen with an authority figure, a decision being made, a responsibility being pushed upon, a result being pushed upon that they don't immediately enjoy, that they don't immediately agree with. Well, that's not fair. Why is it not fair? Because that's not what I wanted. That doesn't mean it's not fair. Just because you want to lead with your ego doesn't mean that that's not fair. Back up, look at the big picture. What is your role in the situation? Did something get taken from you? Something you thought was going to go one way at the beginning of the year, that now that we're getting further in, you're like, oh, it's not going how I thought it was. Certain things are not going to plan. What did you do to cause that? What did you allow to happen to cause that? That's not going to be an easy pill for a lot of people to swallow. And if you're in that part of the vibration, Mercury in Sagittarius doesn't have much of a filter. He doesn't. He says shit that he doesn't need to say. Again, not much of a filter. Happy to put some things out there. Happy to put some people on blast. And I do suspect that there will be some vibration, some energy that speaks to putting some people on blast. But if you do that this week, if you do that, you're going to regret it. It's going to come back and bite you because, again, Mercury is in shadow and we'll be coming back over something. And just because you think you're coming from the point of righteousness does not mean that your closet is completely clean, because you never know what's going to come back and bite you in the ass. Okay? Okay. Warning of that. But all in all, there's a lot of momentum this week. There's a lot of excitement to this week. For some people, there could be hesitancy, and it really kind of comes down to if Mars is either your chart ruler or your time lord. Aries rising, Scorpio risings, if you're struggling with hesitancy, Leo risings, because Mars is slowing down in your first house. If you're starting to hesitate on something, do not be surprised. But a lot of that just has to do with Mars is slowing down. The thing is, Mars is the only one. Everything else is in movement. Saturn is turning around this week. So we have that shift and change. A lot of people that think that certain things were going to go a certain way are going to get some kind of news this week that they don't appreciate, that they don't agree with. And again, what did you do to cause that? Some people will not like this week, and it will force hesitancy and a different kind of shift in plans. For other people, it's going to go well, because the things that you've been working on for so long, the things that you started earlier this year that you've been dedicated to and diligent to and smart with are starting to take shape in a different way. And we have newness in the vibration. We have a reshaping in the vibration. And that's helpful. So let's be aware of all the energy, the duplicity of the energy. And know that the things that we're talking about, communicating, agreeing to this week has layers and levels in the responsibility that is being taken on. They will have layers and levels of things that are going to be said and spoken about after the decisions are fully announced and pronounced and come to light. Because again, some of the decisions that have been made have not been fully and openly brought to the surface yet, but they will be. For a lot of people, they will be this week. Okay. Let's get into the transits. Let's get into Monday. Monday, November 11th. Happy Veterans Day. I love my veterans. I am from a military family. My sister was a Marine. I say is a Marine, you know. Lots of family that's been in the Navy, the Army, and everything else. So happy Veterans Day for those that participate in that. If you're not in the States, you might not have a clue what I'm talking about, but this is a day that we honor our veterans. Okay. We are starting this out first thing in the morning because we have two things that are happening simultaneously that's going to connect certain people, certain situations that might not normally understand each other, might not normally see eye to eye, might have issues and differences, but it's like the third party's like, here, let me help you understand this other side. So what's going on here? The moon in Pisces is going to have a trine from the sun. So here's the sun, 19 degrees. Here's the moon, 19 degrees. While the moon in Pisces, in Jupiter's sign, is hitting a square to Jupiter. So you can see this right here. At this moment, the sun and Jupiter are in an in conjunction. They're quincunx to each other. They are not seeing eye to eye. I don't understand how you got to this point. I don't understand how to do something. I've never done this before, but with the cohesiveness of the moon in Jupiter's sign, it's like if you just try this, follow these directions, have a little bit of hope, it will make more sense. It'll be easier as you go. And considering all day on Monday, we are building to Mercury square to Saturn, which is also in Jupiter's sign. This goes into the tones of that responsibility and that vibration. Now, for some people that aren't seeing eye to eye in a tense scenario, like your doctor just told you need to change something in your diet because it's Jupiter, it's the doctor, the teacher just told you that you didn't do your homework right. And you just like, no, I did do it right. You didn't give us the right directions. You didn't listen. You didn't pay attention. It's like once you get that outside perspective with the moon in the trine, but also in the square to Jupiter, there's a bridging of understanding, and that's a good thing. So for some people, there can be some like animosity and some tension a little bit right here. I know you don't want to change your diet, but actually, if you meet with this really awesome nutritionist over here, he can help you change your diet. I know you didn't understand the assignment, therefore it didn't come through correctly, but maybe if I set you up with this tutor, if I set you up with this other class person, you would be able to do this better. And if we are just open-minded in the vibration, it can be okay. It would be okay. Everybody's going to be, making their own decisions in that statement. But I like this energy because this has a hopeful vibration to it, just to be clear. Okay. We're going to feel this the most exact between 6 a.m. and 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. So this is how we are starting the morning for a lot of people. If you're in the States, if you're in other countries, this might be an evening or afternoon energy for you, but there is something about like two people, two energies, two situations, not seeing eye to eye, not understanding, but getting the outside perspective, getting someone else to help in a situation that might not have it completely in their books, on their plans or whatever, but they still have the ability to step in. So be aware of that. Now, all throughout the morning, we are building into Venus's entry into Capricorn. So for some people, that in conjunction can have a bit of a finality to it, like I'll help you, but this is the last time type of thing. And a lot of that could be spoken through Venus's energy since she is wrapping up her tour through Sagittarius. And at 12:26 p.m. Central Standard Time, so I get this at 12:30, boom, here's Venus newly in Capricorn. Now, again, all week is building to a full moon in Taurus. Whatever starts to come through with Venus's entry into Capricorn, we're changing something in regards to roles and responsibility. For some people, you are not going to like what got said by the authority figure. The verdict, the decision that has come out, you're not going to like it. It's going to create a hesitancy and it's going to stall you out. For other people, it's not that at all. It's that recognition, it's the announcement, and this is what's going to lead to that level up change that is a big part of this week's vibration. Is it all going to happen on Monday morning? No. The human effect is we're building through this all week, so it can happen anywhere between Monday to Friday for most people. So be aware of that shift, that news, that communication, the announcements that are coming through this week, because again, they have layers. Okay, moving us along. Venus is now in Capricorn. Oh, I'm excited for this. I think this is going to be fun. We get into the evening time between 4 and 6 p.m. So I got this at 4:30. The moon is going to make a sextile to Uranus. Well, where is Uranus? Uranus is in Venus's sign. The upcoming full moon will be in a conjunction to Uranus. So there's little Easter eggs of some things that can be surprising. Like you hear something, you understand something, you get some kind of notice, you see something going on with your technology. Uranus has a lot to do with technology. You see something posted on social media. You post something on social media with the hope that it has an effect towards what will debut and what will come through in the full moon. So there's a hopefulness, an unexpectedness, an excitement that's kind of in this vibration. We know we're doing something different. We know we're doing something new. And you could just be telling somebody, hey, I'm about to try this. Hey, I got the job. Hey, I'm going to start working in this new department. Hey, I'm doing something different. And they're like, I didn't even know that you were looking at this as an option. This is weird. Some people might be put off by like, oh, what did you do? What are we doing? When? How? Why? Doesn't have to be bad. But I like the vibration of Monday. I feel like a lot of people are going to have a good day. Really just kind of depends on how some of this is falling in your chart. But there can be something that's kind of unexpected and exciting in the afternoon. We feel this the most exact between 4 and 6 p.m. As we get into the evening time, the moon is going to make a conjunction to Neptune. Now, this is going to be felt the most exact between 7 and 9 p.m. So I got this at 7:30, and here's the moon's conjunction to Neptune. This is seeing something that captures our imagination. This is meeting about something or telling something. So let's play devil's advocate for just a second. Say the arrival of Venus into Capricorn has not gone well for you. The news from the authority figure, the decision around the authority figure is not going well. The moon's conjunction to Neptune here can be a lie, someone lying about something, which is not in your favor. But there's a reason why I'm saying that. Mercury is perfecting his first square to Saturn. It's not going to go exact on Monday. It actually goes exact on Tuesday, but it's still a part of that new energy of the week. We can be saying something, you've got some kind of news, some kind of decision is made, but with the moon hitting the conjunction to Neptune, like you're not ready to tell someone else. So you're like, oh, I haven't heard from him yet. I don't know anything yet, but you do. That type of lie. It's like that little white lie, but this is the last moon Neptune conjunction before Neptune turns direct next month. Don't get caught in a lie. don't feel like the need of lying is going to work out best for you, because it's really, again, it's going to come back and bite you. Honesty from the beginning is the best way to do it. For other people, this is talking about our beliefs, talking about our spirituality, talking about something woo-woo, talking about something that hits that imagination, the sci-fi energy, that spectacle type energy, getting lost in the sauce a little bit, wanting to do something that just kind of like makes you feel good, wanting to do something extra that's a little bit celebratory, so taking a drink of some sort. Um, those types of things when the moon hits the conjunction to Neptune. This does not have to be heavy energy. It's kind of down to personal decision based off of how everything is going throughout the day on Monday. Moving this along, the one thing that's going to happen, and this for me is happening as a transfer of energy between Monday into Tuesday, and that is Pluto is going to hit a sextile to the moon. And you see that here. But what's interesting, because of the placements of Venus and Pluto, is while Pluto is perfecting a sextile to the moon, Venus is perfecting a square. So, what I'm going to describe next, for some people, this is going to be late Monday night. For other people, it's going to be a part of the vibration of Tuesday. So, I'm going to describe this on Tuesday, but there's a reason I was putting that at the recap at the end of Monday, because for some people, it's like, we're going into something that has excitement to it. We're going into something that has movement to it. And the movement, again, is helping us overcome a fear. It's helping us move through a vibration and a frustration. And I want people to be very clear about what they deal with whenever this sextile building square vibration happens, because it can also set the stage for what happens at the end of the moon in Aries and that full moon in Taurus. So what is going on Monday night going into Tuesday? Because for some people, it's like, I'm not going to be controlled by fear anymore. Pluto sextile the moon. So I'm going to take this leap of faith. I'm going to go into this new direction. I'm going to do this productively. I'm going to change this in my image. I'm going to change this way of reaching out to people and connecting with people. I'm going to do this thing that makes me money differently, because the one thing about Capricorn energy is like, it's all about the money. Show me that money. What are we doing different in that vibration? There's something very powerful that's shifting. And this is the first part of the shift. At each part of these little shifts of whenever the moon goes through Pisces, the moon ends its tour through Aries, and then whenever the moon goes into the full moon at the end of the week, each one of those speak to each other. And I don't normally get to say that, but I definitely was feeling it when I wrote my notes for this week. So be aware of what's shifting in, where we're focusing, where we're taking something new, where we're doing something new. Okay, now, again, the sextile between the moon and Pluto is going to be the most exact between 11 p.m. on the 11th and 1 a.m. on the 12th. The square between Venus and the moon can be felt the most between 12:30 and 2:30 a.m. So that's why I've got this at 2:30. Venus and the moon are starting their square. It's like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to launch it. I'm just going to go. I'm just going to try. And it's like, as soon as the moon goes into Aries, it's like, we're going. Let's go. Let's do it. We're taking an action. We're reacting to something. We're pushing into something. Okay. In the overnight hours, the moon is going to hit a trine to Mars. Now, this is going to happen between 3:30 and 5:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. So I got this at 4:30. Here's the moon in Mars's sign, making a trine to Mars. This is passion, fire to fire. This is aggravation for some people, fire to fire. This is a desire for some people, fire to fire, a pushing ahead. This has to work. I want this to last. And for some people, we're trying to do something here. We're trying to take an action for something that we wish to last. And putting all of your focus into that level of manifestation is going to be a good thing for a lot of people. So I don't want to take away from this. And also considering while the moon is going through its trine with Mars, it is coming into a conjunction with the North Node. Now, that's not going to go exact until a little bit later in the morning. And we have something that's going to happen while that's building So I'm not taking away from the moon north node quite yet, but what I want to show is like Mercury in that square to Saturn, it's perfecting. It's going to go exact between 7:21 and 7:41 a.m. So I got this at 7:30. You can see Mercury 12 degrees 42 minutes, Saturn 12 degrees 42 minutes. The moon is still in that trine to Mars. It is separating. The moon is still hitting that conjunction to the north node, and it is building. There is a desire to accomplish. There is a challenge that we are tackling. There is an obstacle that we're going to win. We're taking action. There is a motivation. There's stuff going on. And whenever Mercury hits that square to Saturn, again, being the first of three, this is communication. This is an announcement. This is a decision. The elder, the authority figure in some way, shape, or form is putting something out there because remember, Saturn is stationing. And over the course of the next 3 days, he's going to turn direct. So this decision, this push to do something different, to turn something around, to give responsibility to another person, there's an excitement to it. It feels very, very hopeful and desired. And people are like, I'm going to be able to live up to this challenge. I'm taking it. Let's go. That's a lot of the vibration. I feel like a lot of things start to set in for people as they go through this week, especially Tuesday. Tuesday's got a lot of movement to it. Now, is everybody going to be having the best of times? No. If you get selected for a promotion, but you got selected over 2 other people, they might not be happy about it. Some people sometimes let their ego get in the way and they're going to feel slighted. There's a possibility of them feeling slighted. We don't necessarily know how this is going to impact everybody in their individual charts because with so much going on in so many signs, a lot of people are going to be getting impacted directly. Pisces risings directly, Sag risings directly, Cap risings directly, Aries risings directly, Leo risings directly. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of movement. There's a lot going on. Okay. Moving us along. You can see we got a lot of things going on in the morning time. There can be a lot of excitement. Just to be clear, the moon's exact conjunction to the north node happens between 9 and 11 a.m. I got this at 9:30. You can see the moon hitting that conjunction to the north node. This is the head of the dragon. I will have, I will consume, I will desire. Gimme, gimme, gimme. I'm a greedy baby. This is mine. And for a lot of people, that's exactly what you're doing. You're grabbing hold of something of that is yours. And that's a good thing. Okay. Oh, moving along as we get into the evening time, literally 12 hours from where I have it right now. So I'm going to move this to 9:30 p.m. What's also going to happen is Mercury is going to hit a trine, trines of triangles, to the moon. Fire to fire. Shift and change to the start. Mercury is in the mutable fire sign. Passions are changing. The moon is in the cardinal fire sign. And I'm making it happen. And I'm going to start something. And we're doing something different. And we are going to react to things. And again, a lot of fire energy. Some people are going to like the announcements. They're going to like the decisions. They're going to like the change. Other people are going to be like, I don't like it at all. Be prepared for both. Okay. Oh, Mercury's trine to the moon can also see some results, like immediate results to something. It's like as soon as that announcement goes out that so-and-so got promoted, then you see that at least this happened at one of my old jobs. Like every time they would make a sale, for example, it's like so-and-so just sold this house, blah, 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 blah. And then everybody would be like, yay, woohoo, yay, woohoo. Like they'd send out these little sold note emails. It's like seeing that immediate result of just like, I'm so proud of you, especially if this is like the first time that you've done something to this extent, that type of vibration. Okay. Acknowledgement to what we are trying to accomplish, to what we are taking on. Moving this along, we're going to get into the 13th. And whenever it comes to Wednesday, there's not a lot of direct transits. Actually, the majority of them only happen in the morning time. So the human effect tells me we're still going to be in a good vibration. We're still going to be looking at some things in a positive light, in a passionate light, in a motivated light. But a lot of Wednesday is just the carryover effect of Tuesday. So the human effect is if something did not happen exactly on Monday, you might be dealing with it on, I'm sorry, it didn't happen on Monday or Tuesday. Then you might be happening on Wednesday, but this is kind of that carryover effect. So we got two things going on. Between 7 and 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, so I got this at 7:30, the moon is going to hit a sextile to Jupiter. I have this great idea. I want to take this action. Can you give me some suggestions? Can you give me some feedback? What did you do when you were in my situation? Oh, I did it this way. Oh, that's a really great idea. What if I tried this? Oh, that could work if you try this too. Like it's very cohesive because Jupiter is retrograde. Going back in reception to the moon, there's something here again that has to do with reception. I've got all these hopes. I have all these bright ideas. I want to take all of these actions. We're going to try this treatment. I think it's going to work. And this is why I think it's going to work, because Jupiter can sometimes be the doctor, Jupiter, doctor, the guru, the teacher. And at the same time, the moon will be reaching its conjunction to Chiron. Now, this is going to go the most exact between 8 and 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. So I'm bumping this to 8:30. The moon is still going through that sextile to Jupiter, but it's starting its conjunction to Chiron. All of these great ideas, all of these hopes, the whole idea is that we're trying to fix something. We want to overcome something. We want to take what is broken and make it better. We want to turn it into something different, but still functional. We're trying something new. Now, whenever the moon does hit its conjunction to Chiron, I will be clear, some people might be a little butthurt. And this might be whenever you find out so and so is not as excited for you as you are about your new position. Well, I hope it goes well for you. I hope you're able to make everything work. I hope you're able to turn, like, it's one of those things that, like, when they say they hope, but it's in that backhanded, passive aggressive comment, is like, well, I really hope that everything just, that you can make it work, that you can make it last. I wish the best for you. Do you really? Bless your heart. Okay. That type of thing. Some people can not be focused so much on how to fix something, but they can be talking about their wound and opening up about their wound whenever it comes to the moon's conjunction to Chiron. Well, I really hope you can fix this. I really hope you can make it better, that type of thing. And this is it. This is all that's going on whenever it comes to Wednesday. There's no other direct transits. Mercury is still in that square to Saturn, but they are separating. Venus is moving more and more into Capricorn. And as we go through the day, she is going through a quincunx with Mars. But this isn't even exact until the 14th, until we go through the next day. So I'm going to keep it going. We're going to go ahead and get into Thursday. Just bust through that real quick. Okay. Now, the first thing that's going to happen is going to happen right after midnight. And this is right around the time that we really can feel that in conjunction between Venus and Mars. You can see it's almost exact right here. So between midnight and 2 a.m. Central Standard Time, the moon is going to go through a square with Pluto. But while it's going through the square with Pluto, it is also perfecting a trine to Venus, and it is also perfecting into a square with Mars. This final degree of the moon in Aries, whew, if you can sleep, then you have got really good melatonin. Like, I don't think a lot of people are going to be sleeping. I think a lot of people are going to be vibrating. They're going to have a lot of things going on. They're going to have a lot of things to get off their chest. Their mind is going to be all over the place. Like, this is a really interesting energy that starts to unfold, and it really picks up like right at midnight. So again, Pluto's going to square the moon between 12 a.m. and 2 a.m. in the middle of that square. So I've got this at 12:30. I'm going to bump this to 1:30. At 1 a.m. exact, the moon's going to go into Taurus. It's still in that square to Pluto. Now the moon is in Venus's sign. And once the moon goes into Taurus, we're in the full moon vibration. Period in a story. It does not perfect until Friday, But we're in full moon energy all day Thursday. Midnight hits, at least for me here in Oklahoma, and we're in full moon vibration. So be aware of that. Thursday and Friday is full moon vibration all day long. Yay, yay. Okay, moving along. Now, when Pluto hits that square to the moon, there can be a lot more of an intensity. There's a lot more things around fear. But for a lot more people, it might be that overcoming of fear. Pluto's wrapping up Capricorn. He's sick of being weighted down by fear. I don't want to deal with this anymore. I don't want to talk about this anymore. I need something different. And he's 5 days away from being out of Capricorn. For a lot of people, that Pluto square to the moon, we're done. Done with something, so done, ready to be done, letting it all go, moving into something different. And that is the focus, moving into something different. So be aware of that. Now the moon is in Taurus. And as soon as the moon goes into Taurus, it starts again, perfecting that square to Venus. I'm sorry, that square to Mars, perfecting a trine to Venus. And these two are going through a quincunx. So again, it's kind of like what we were doing with Monday, but from a much different perspective. We're trying to make two people see eye to eye. We're trying to help two people find some type of common ground. But in this moment, we ain't finding common ground. I'm mad at him. I'm mad about this situation. I'm happy that this is happening, but I also know that I'm doing something that someone else isn't agreeing with. I'm going in a direction that they're not going to support. And the whole idea for this direction has to do with whatever that full moon in Taurus is going to be. Venus wants the responsibility to be held differently, the role to be seen differently, the actions of the authority figure is pushing something into the direction in a different focus than we initially anticipated. And that is so strong. We're going to be feeling this. People are going to have a hard time sleeping. Okay. Pluto square to the moon is felt the most exact between 12 a.m. and 2 a.m. Central Standard Time. Venus is in conjunction. That quincunx to Mars is exact at 2 a.m., just to be clear. We're going to get this to between 5 and 8 a.m. I'm giving a bigger window because of what we got going on. The moon is going to hit its square to Mars. I'm going to bump this to 6:30. There we go. The moon is going to go through its exact square to Mars in this time frame. And the moon is going to go through its exact trine with Venus in this time frame. They actually perfect like right around 6 a.m. Like one's closer to 5:30, the other one's like closer to 6 a.m. But it's so strong and so powerful. It's like a restless energy that we're dealing with all night. We go to bed, or we're trying to go to bed the night before, going, you know what, when I get there tomorrow, I'm doing it. I'm taking this action. I'm going to tell them how I feel. I'm going to tell them that I don't agree with the decision that they just made. And if they don't like it, then I'm going to start looking for a different job. Like it's that type of vibration. I'm going to tell them that this isn't happening. I'm not agreeing with this. I'm not on the same page. And we're bridging something here. And we feel like somebody's going to react one way. But in a lot of ways, they're going to take it as a challenge of, I'm not going to give in on that. If you don't like what has been decided, then you have a decision to make. I've already made my decision. And considering Venus is in Saturn's sign, I've already made my decision. This is where we're at. This is what we're doing. And this is how this is going to go. And that's going to create stagnancy. That's going to create a hiccup. There are going to be some people that they do not agree with this week. There are going to be other people that they're high vibrating. This is how it's going to go. So excited. Okay, moving along. Now, again, the Venus trine, moon square, Mars. First thing in the morning, we're feeling this the most exact between 5 and 8 a.m. The human effect is it can take part of any area of the day. Sometimes you are feeling this energy one way, like you wake up like, yeah, I'm doing it, but you can't meet with the boss until lunchtime. That's the human effect. This is just when the transit is the most exact. So just be prepared for that. Keeping this moving along. This sets the stage for the entire day. And again, all day, we are in a full moon vibration that's not even happening yet. just to be absolutely clear. So you're going to be feeling like on the full moon, and we're not even going to be in it yet. Now, getting into the evening time between 8:30 and 10:30 p.m. So I've got this at 9:30. Saturn, good old daddy Saturn, is going to make a sextile to the moon. We are quite literally hours, 12 hours until this is going to go direct. So we're making some kind of final decision. We're relaying some kind of decision. Again, my decision is final. I'm not going to change this. This is how it's going to go now. This is where we're going to go now. And starting next week, this is how it's going to be. I don't think this is a smart idea. Sometimes it's not a smart idea. But the decision isn't yours to make as to whether it is a smart one or not. Some things are meant to stick. Some things are not. Regardless, we're taking some of the stuff from before and we're folding it into the new. And this is the week where we can really, really see folding the old vibration into the new vibration, however that's unfolding for you. Okay. Saturn's sextile to the moon, again, the most exact between 8:30 and 10:30 p.m. Some of us are just going home and talking to our significant others in the evening time, after the kids go to bed. Yeah, I talked to the boss. They said they're not going to change their opinion. They're not going to make a different decision. They're going to go with it. Wow. Okay. So what are you going to do? I don't know. I need to decide. I need to take some time to really mull it over. I need to take the weekend and think about what we're going to do. I don't know that I can stay here the way this is going to go. So be aware of how you are feeling, because we are in full moon vibration, even though this isn't the full moon. Okay. Moving this along. Let's get into the 15th. We're going to bump this into the morning time. We're going to get this to 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. So get this at 7:30. Saturn is retrograde, 12 degrees, 41 minutes. I bump this back to the 8:30. Boom, there he is at 8:21 a.m. Central Standard Time. Saturn turns direct. Roles have changed, responsibilities have changed, decisions have been made, announcements are being made. We're going into a new direction. We're bringing on the new people to fill in the spaces where other people didn't fit in. I know you wanted the promotion, but instead we decided to hire out from the outside. And now we have to deal with the effects of hiring from the outside. So there's that. Saturn is direct. Now, the full moon is going to perfect at 3:28 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I'm just going to bump this to 3:30, and you can see this right here. This is a full moon conjunct Uranus. Now, I thought back on this, backwards and forwards, just to be clear. And I'll talk about this a little bit more in the full moon video. And that is, we've had a lot of full moons aspecting Uranus. Just to be clear, that full moon Aquarius that happened back whenever we had the first Saturn Jupiter square, that full moon in Aquarius was in a square to Uranus. That last Mercury retrogrades had multiple squares to Uranus. This is a full moon conjunct Uranus. And whenever we get into Aquarius season and we go into that full moon in Leo later on, full moon in squaring Uranus. There's a lot of unexpected things, but this one right here does not feel brand new. It doesn't. It feels like it's the unexpected wave per se of something that's already been underway, of something that's already been going on. And we're coming to the full peak of a decision from the boss, from the authority figures, from whoever's in charge about what's going on with our elders. And we're putting something into perspective that is not all brand new. We're getting a new person. We're getting one new perspective of an existing situation. We're bringing another person into an existing thing. And we don't know what to expect with that new person because, again, we hired from out of the office, just to be clear. Oh, Lordy, Lordy, Lordy. Full moon, 3:28 p.m. Right afterwards, the moon will hit its full conjunction to Uranus, and that is going to be felt the most between 4:30 and 6:30 p.m. So I got this at 5:30. You can see it's exact. Here's the moon, 2516. Here's Uranus, 2517. It's close enough for government work. I'm not moving this by minute. That's going to take forever. This is why we do it by hour. So some people are going to go into the office after they got passed up for a promotion. I'm just going to keep using this as the one entire example. They're going to have to go into the office after they got passed up for the promotion, and they're just going to turn in their notice. They're not going to have a plan, but they're going to be so frustrated with the situation that that's what's going to happen. There's going to be other people that they're going to not just have told their significant other that they don't want to be together anymore. Somebody is going to be in the office and they're going to immediately be hit with divorce papers. It's going to happen so quickly. And that is going to be a shock to the system. I need people to be prepared that whenever it comes to Friday, there can be a very big shock to the system that the other person, that the other side is not anticipating. And considering next week, one of the ways we start the week is Pluto going back into Aquarius. This can also give a glimpse of what Pluto in Aquarius is going to feel like when he goes back in for this next round. So I want people to be prepared for that too. Okay. Now, the other thing that's going on during this full moon in Taurus, Venus, going back to her. You can see right at this 5:30 point, whenever the moon hits that conjunction to Uranus, Venus hits 5 degrees and she starts to square the nodes. This is very intricate energy, and I'll cover this a little bit more in the full moon video. But what she's starting to do is bending the nodes, and every bit of her energy moving forward is going to be towards the gains because she's starting to move towards the north node. We're meant to start moving towards some level of gains based off of Venus. And that is a good thing. Okay. She will be squaring the nodes all weekend. This is why I'm saying I'll do more of this in the focus of the next video, the full moon video. But I wanted to bring that up too. Now, in the evening time between 8 and 10 p.m., so I got this at 8:30, Neptune is going to hit a sextile to the moon. You can see this right here. This is celebratory. We're telling people things like we're looking at the possibilities. We're super happy. We're super excited. We're celebrating with libation, that type of thing. We're talking about just, again, that possibility of something. And considering one of the ways that a week before this, literally last weekend, the weekend I'm recording this right now, Venus hit a square to that Neptune that was like showing us again some possibilities. There's a lot of things that speaks to the imagination, the possibilities, and just like letting our imagination run wild. And that can go in the positive and the negative way. And this kind of speaks to like us talking about all of the ways our imagination is running wild. It's just coming out of our mouth. But it's very celebratory in a lot of other ways. So I don't want to take away from that. So now we're going to go ahead and get into Saturday. And the first thing that's going to happen is going to happen right at midnight. And that is Pluto hitting that trine to the moon. We've had a lot of little aspects to Pluto all week that's building up to this full moon. And I said that earlier in the week. And I felt like each one was telling us something. It was telling us steps. It was telling us stages. It was letting us get to something. The full moon in Taurus is usually meant to be something that's very secure, but Uranus tends to like really make or break whether that's going to feel secure or not. So some people struggle with that. But the excitement of the energy, it's like it's cementing even more that we're overcoming a fear. We're moving past a fear. I'm not going to let this bother me anymore. I'm not going to let this control me anymore. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. Screw him, that type of thing. Screw him, screw them. I'm going to go in a different way. And we're going to start to get very, very loud and in some ways obnoxious after this full moon and after this trine to Pluto. Because what does the moon do? At 1:10 a.m., so I'm going to bump this an hour to 1:30, the moon goes into Gemini. And this is where he's going to be all weekend. He's going to be in Mercury's sign, Where is Mercury? In Jupiter's sign, in a fire sign. It's in shadow. Let's be clear about that. But there's going to be a lot of news and a lot of communication and a lot of bold statements, bold ideas, bold things that are coming out once the moon goes into Gemini. And again, it's helping us move past our fear. It's helping us move into a new direction. And all weekend, while the moon is in Gemini, Mercury is building to its first opposition to Jupiter. So whatever's being announced, pronounced, coming to life, coming to the surface, whatever's being talked about, there are levels to it. And for a lot of people, we're building up to something that's going to start to show results in some way at the first of next week, because the moon is going to be in Gemini. Okay. Now, Venus is going to square the nodes exactly around 5 a.m. Central Standard Time. So I'm going to put this at 5:30. Venus, 5 degrees, 36 minutes. The nodes are 5 degrees, 35 minutes. This is like that full adept energy of we're moving towards something. We're moving towards gains. And during this same time span, the moon is going to make a sextile to Mars. Mars is hosting that north node. Mars is hosting the sun. So there's a lot of long-term effect energy that we are trying to set into this vibration. It's just, remember, only so much is going to stick. There will be an extra round, an extra layer of something that's going to come through later on, specifically the end of December going into January. So I'm making people aware of that. The week after Christmas is going to be intense. It's just mind-blowing. Anyways, moving along. Oh, now the moon will hit its exact sextile to Mars between 6:30 and 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. So I got this at 7:30. Here's the moon, 3 degrees, 54 minutes. Here's Mars, 3 degrees, 36. So we're just past the exact right here. And there is a motivation. There is some ideas. There is some wit. There is some sarcasm. There is some news. There's a lot of communication. The other thing that is coming through is all day long, the sun is building to its exact opposition to Uranus. So a lot of what we're talking about has to do with that unexpected vibration that occurred Thursday and Friday as we were building to the full moon. It's got volumes. It's speaking volumes. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of activity. There's a lot of movement in this vibration. Okay. Now, the moon's opposition to Uranus, we're building to it all day. It actually does not go exact until 8:34 this evening. So I'm just moving this to about 8:30 and that'll be fine. Between 8:34 and 8:57 p.m. Central Standard Time, this is when it'll go exact. The sun will hit that exact opposition to Uranus. Unexpected situations, unexpected run-ins, unexpected arguments, unexpected ideas. The other thing that's going on when the Sun-Uranus opposition goes the most exact is Saturn is perfecting its square to the moon. And this is the first square from Saturn now that Saturn is direct. So there is decisions, there is communication, there's something from an authority figure, something from an elder, something about the responsibility that is coming out right here. Remember, the moon is in Mercury's sign, and Mercury is building all weekend to its first opposition to Jupiter. For some people, we are talking about, whenever I get to Monday, this is what I'm going to do. This is what's going to happen. I'm going to meet with these people. We've got all of these ideas running in our mind of like, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go in this direction. I'm going to meet with this person. I'm going to do this differently. I'm going to try this. And we have all of this flooding vibration, flooding to the surface type of thing. And it's got excitement to it. Some people are not going to like it. You're going to be hearing your new coworker or your coworker that's not necessarily, but that's becoming your new boss. And he's got all these ideas and you're like, oh, that's not going to work, but you're not going to listen to me. So I'm just going to let you go, let you figure that out the hard way. And that can be a part of this too. but there's the decision, the announcement, there's some type of news that's being pushed forward from the authority figure, from the elder regarding responsibilities, telling somebody, now that this has happened, I'm going to be able to afford to do this for you and we afford to take you here, that type of thing with Saturn. Okay. Oh, the square between Saturn and the moon can be felt the most exact between 9 and 11 p.m. So bump this to 9:30. You can see this is more exact. Still very much a part of the sun Uranus. You can see there's a lot going on here. There is an intensity here. There's excitement here. There's bold news, bold ideas. We have a lot of things just kind of turning around and coming to something new. Now we're going to get into Sunday. The moon is still going to be in Gemini all day long. Mercury is still going to be building its opposition to Jupiter all day long. This does not go exact until Monday. So to be clear, we have a lot of things that are going on that are building into something that has layers to it all weekend. Now, let's get this into the morning time between 6 and 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. So I'm going to bump this to 7:30 because this is when it's the most exact. The moon will go through its opposition to Mercury will simultaneously between 7 and 9 a.m. That's why I put this in 7:30. The moon is going to be making its conjunction to Jupiter. It's pushing something into motion. It's letting people know I've got an idea. It's letting people know we've got more news. It's letting people know we have more to communicate. It's letting people know that something is coming. It's touching base with somebody. Hey, can you meet with me tomorrow? Hey, I've got this idea. Can you talk to me? Can we make a time? Can we set something up? There's something here based off of Saturn turning direct because Jupiter is hosting Saturn. Venus's arrival into Saturn sign, and we just had that full moon in Venus's sign. So it still speaks back to the way you lay these all out. Venus is in Saturn sign, but Saturn is being hosted by Jupiter. The moon is in Mercury sign. Mercury is being hosted by Jupiter. Jupiter is being hosted by Mercury. All of this still rounds back to Mercury and Jupiter. All of this week is setting the stage, putting something in motion, giving announcement, giving word, giving news to something that's not even fully activating this week, goes into next week. And when the moon hits that opposition to Mercury and the conjunction to Jupiter, there's connection, there's potential, there's possibilities, there's talking about their changes, talking about how we're going to progress. There's a lot of hopefulness in their energy, but sometimes that hopefulness can be a lot of ADHD brain, and we can be thinking 1,000 miles a minute and not thinking clearly. And the other people have to deal with it. But a lot of this based off of the fact that Jupiter is retrograde, this is not new. And for a lot of people, whatever starts to play out is also going to tie back to the last Mercury retrograde that happened in August. And I'll talk about that more in the closing because we got one more transit that's going to happen before I talk about that. So let's go. The moon's going to do this little combination, conjunction, opposition situation. First thing in the morning, we're going to feel it the most exact between 6 and 9 a.m. with both of them. It sets the stage and the emotion for the entire day. And once we get into the evening time, what's going to happen between 9 and 11 is the moon is going to go through a square with Neptune. So here's Neptune, 27 degrees, 14 minutes. Here's the moon, 26:51. It's not exact. We're getting close to it. It's going to go exact right around 10 p.m. But Neptune is stationing, won't turn direct until December. Let's be clear. He takes longer to turn direct, but he ain't moving from 27 degrees. This is his stationing point. So we can talk about nostalgia, talk about something from the past, how it's affecting the now, how it's affecting the new. We've got bright ideas, putting those ideas in writing, seeing the possibility, having our imagination captured, doing something that's going to fill our imagination, fill our hopes and dreams. Can we talk about a fallacy? Can there be the potentials of lies and fraud whenever it comes to Neptune? Absolutely. But given the rest of the transits at hand, I don't necessarily know that this is a lie. If it is a lie, again, it's not one that's going to last, because we will have other oppositions between Mercury and Jupiter. We have 3 altogether, The next one will happen the first week of December. So be aware of that part of the vibration. If somebody feels like they're going to pull some kind of wool over somebody else's eyes, it ain't going to stick. It ain't going to last. Let's not do that. If we're coming from a point of honesty all the way through, then we're talking about the possibility. We're talking about the hopes. We're talking about the effects of something and how effective something can be based off of this transition in power of recognition and where we are going next. Okay. Okay. Let's get into closing. Jupiter's been at 18 degrees before. The last time Jupiter was at 18 degrees of Gemini was back in August when Mercury was retrograde. Now, I will cover this more when I talk about this in the Mercury retrograde video. One of the things that I cannot shake, it's been coming to me constantly in my meditation. And as we've gotten into Mercury and Sag now, like I'm seeing the writing on the wall, like confirming what I was already feeling. And that is, there's something about the last Mercury retrograde that connects with this one. There's something about the last time, the last situation that stirred up all the old unfinished business that's playing into this one. Now, it could be the stirring up of that unfinished business that has led to these new decisions. That's a big possibility. There's something about that timeline being spread out that's impacting what's going to happen next. And there is news, there is announcements, there's a lot of energy that's going to come through. And when I do the Mercury retrograde video, that's going to make a lot more sense, especially whenever it comes to the December timeframe. Some things are going to stick, some things are not. Some people are going to go into some new job thinking that they've got all the bright ideas and all the ways of doing things, and you just got to believe in me. There's so much potential, there's so much possibilities. But then something is going to get a little messy. And that's because of the Mercury retrograde. I don't want to take away from the potential of now. And if you're going into this week feeling high hopes, I feel it too. But I'm letting you know the other side. I'm always devil's advocate. It's not that the glass is half empty or half full. It's a matter of, am I buying or selling it? If it's half full, this is the best you're going to get. Let me tell you all the great features of how this is going to work. It's going to be spectacular. It's going to be the coldest water you've ever drank. It's going to taste so good all the way down. You're going to dream about it later. I'm telling you, it's going to be great. But if I'm buying it, no. You can do better. That's half empty. I'm not getting the full bang for my buck. I'm not getting what I wanted. I'm not getting the full perspective. And some people will be coming back going, see, I told you I didn't get what I wanted. But this week, we're selling that water. We've got hopes in that water, in that glass, in the potential. And we're selling that dream, that idea to other people with the hopes that they're going to receive it well. Now, for some of you, the last time that Jupiter was in this area of the sky, you had downloads during that Mercury retrograde. You had some ideas, and I was cleared then too. If you got something new in your mind, don't do it during that Mercury retrograde. I don't feel like that's a good time to do something new. And I'm talking about the one that happened in August. But where we're going next with the mutual reception of Mercury and Jupiter, there's potential. It's a weird thing to think about. It's a weird thing to say, but there is so much potential with Mercury and Sag right now that I would not normally say. Sell the glass, sell the water, but be prepared for the return customer. Be prepared for somebody to be unsatisfied. That doesn't mean that that wasn't good water. Sometimes you just got to deal with a Karen. But I don't think you're dealing with the Karen this week. I think that's what's going to come in the Mercury retrograde. So for now, focus on the positive, focus on what you have, focus on what you can control, focus on what you can work with, focus on what you're building. Because a lot of this week's energy is tied to Mercury, more so than Mars. And the things that we are working with that are tied to Mercury are more likely to stick. They just have tests. They just have rounds. They just have levels. And that's okay. All right. I love and appreciate every single one of you. Hit me up with questions. Hit me up with concerns. If you want to join our live Zooms, those are every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I post the link on Facebook. If you want me to send you the link directly, then you have to let me know because I do email it out to a bunch of people. If you want to book a session with me, all of my contact information is listed in the description of every single episode. You can DM me, you can email me, smoke signals. If I'm outside, I'll make my best of it. But anyways, I love and appreciate every single one of you. I will talk to everybody very, very soon. Subscribe.